Hello and welcome to the pre-match analysis of today's game between Afghanistan and Sri Lanka. The Afghans started their tournament with a 3-0 win over Bhutan, while the Sri Lankans started theirs with a dismal showing against Maldives, losing 10-0 in the process. For today's game, I have two experts with me, Mohamed Firash, editor of Maldives Soccer, and Shahrukh Sohail, chief editor of Football Pakistan. Shahrukh, I'll start with you. First, let's talk about yesterday's game, which was a very exciting encounter between Nepal and Pakistan at the Dashrath. What did you make of Pakistan's performance and, their bad luck in letting in that equalizer at the end?
Well, once you look at the game, as we mentioned in yesterday's pre-match, so the game was going to be decided in the first 10 to 30 minutes, and that was the case. I backed Hassan Bashir to score, and given how he performed in the first game as well, it was no surprise that Hassan was the one who scored for Pakistan. Adnan took the free kick, Nepal failed to clear, and Hassan just banged in the shot. And after that, after scoring that goal, yes, the pressure on Pakistan was relieved to quite a certain extent, but Nepal, backed by the 12th man, their home support was fantastic yesterday, and they ran riot after that. Even though they went 1-0 down, they tried their best throughout the 90 minutes to come back. Pakistan were under serious pressure during the entire game, and they thought to go back and defend for that. Zesh Rahman, as you know, was playing as a centre-back, and alongside him was captain Samir Ishaq. Samir Ishaq was particularly criticized before this game, and since he let in that own goal, people were expecting him to be dropped today. But yesterday he proved his critics wrong. He played out a captain's performance yesterday and put in 3 to 4 match-winning tackles for Pakistan. Zesh Rahman, I'd say, would be my man of the match yesterday, and he showed his Premier League class. He put in every tackle that he could. He stopped the Nepalis, and I don't think he made a mistake during the entire 90 minutes. So, yes, Pakistan were unlucky to concede at the end, but once you look at the balance of play, yes, Nepal deserved a draw as well. But I think considering how the Pakistani defense side played, I think they deserved 3 points, if not the whole team.
Firash, Shahrukh just mentioned the home support for Nepal. You were there at the ground yesterday in the media box. What did you make of the atmosphere during the match and even at the end when they scored?
From the very beginning of the match, the crowd was electrifying. And once the Pakistan scored, we thought that the support will go down a little. But after the scoring, after Pakistan scored, also the supporters were cheering their team non-stop till the 90th minute. And I think that was one of the main reasons that Pakistan could level in the game. And with that support, the Nepali players didn't lose their hope, and they were just attacking one continuously.
Yes. Shahrukh, you mentioned Hassan Bashir who scored. He played well against India as well. A good goal from just outside the box yesterday. What do you make of his performances so far?
Well, as he's proving his quality for Pakistan. He plays in Denmark for Fremont and used to play for North Zealand as well. So he's just showing that he's a top-class striker who plays in Europe. And after this, I think he'd have a very good chance for a top club in South Asia, if not the whole of Asia. And yesterday, he was particularly good with his penetrating runs. The Nepali defense was caused a lot of problems, and I think Hassan could have added one more goal to his name. There was a mix-up between the Nepali defense. I think it was Sagar Thapa who mixed up with the goalkeeper, and Hassan had a chance to score an open goal, but since it was quite outside from the D and he had the shot from his left, he narrowly missed that. But nonetheless, I think Hassan is Pakistan's best performer up till now, and I think he was very disappointed after Pakistan failed to, keep the scores level.
Firash, Nepal might have gone 1-0 down in the first half, but I think some of the fluency in their attacking play yesterday was very good. Some of their passing was very impressive, and they kept up a very, very good tempo throughout the game. Were you impressed with how they played?
Yeah, in the first game also, their attack was very impressive, and yesterday also from the beginning, as a team, they played very well, and they built up the attacks from the defense, midfield to striking. But once Anil Gurung was injured, and after replacing, I thought there might be a gap in filling his position. But that part also was filled by the replacement very well.
Yes, and the big story, of course, last night is the youngster, the under-16 player, 15-year-old Bimal Ghartimagar. He came on as a substitute and scored right at the death. Were you impressed by his performance?
Yeah. I thought first he might not perform at the level of the players on the field, but after coming on field, he made 2 very good crosses, and also at last in the end he scored. So this is a very good signal that Nepal is producing very good players in the future, and also a very good signal that the region also is producing good players.
That's right. It's a fantastic story for South Asian football in general. Shahrukh, the final word on Pakistan. You would consider them unlucky so far. You know, they played well against India. You know, they were unlucky to consider late equalizer against Nepal. 1 point from 2 matches. Do you think they can still make it to the semis?
Well, as you mentioned, Pakistan have been desperately unlucky, but you have to go back before the tournament to see what Pakistan's preparation and chances for the tournament were. The coach came in late. The Serbian coach earlier was fired just 2 days before the before the tournament started. So Pakistan did not have any real expectations on them, and I think that helped them because that relieved a certain amount of pressure on them. But once they started playing against India, you can notice a big difference with the coach's new mentality kicking in as well. And I think Pakistan are very unlucky not to have 6 points to their name at the moment. But I think it would be quite ironic if Pakistan were to qualify right now, since they've been so unlucky. I think if they managed to reach the semis, that would be a major turnaround for them, and finally luck would side with them.
Well, it's extremely tempting to go on talking about Nepal and Pakistan, but we have to look forward to the game today between Afghanistan and Sri Lanka. So, starting with Afghanistan, Shahrukh, I'll come back to you. Everyone expected them to score many goals against Bhutan the other day. In fact, you predicted, the scoreline to go up to 9 or 10 goals, and that would have been a realistic prediction. But they managed to score just 3 against a Bhutanese, a very inexperienced Bhutanese side, and Bhutan could have even scored, through a penalty. What did you make of the Afghan performance?
Well, as you mentioned earlier, that people were expecting Afghanistan to dominate and perhaps go, big on the scoreline, but you have to look at Bhutan's performance in this as well. They were not bad, actually. Once you look at it in the first half, they actually gave the Afghans a run for their money, even though Afghanistan scored in the first half. And once the play resumed after the break, Bhutan also had a chance to equalize, which would have, completely changed the situation and perhaps the group as well. But then again, you have to look at the Afghanistan lineup in the first place that was fielded. The coach Yusuf Kargar knew that he was going to win this match, even if he played his lesser players, and that's exactly what he did. Bilal Arzu actually missed the match. He was not even in the match squad. He came later after the game. Sajdar Ahmed, he usually starts in place of Vianund Marshall in Germany. He was on the bench as well. And even the regular goalkeeper, Mansoor Fakhyar of Oldenburg, he was also on the bench. So the coach knew that he could give his reserve players a time on the pitch as well, and they would be happy. And he knew Afghanistan was going to win anyway, but I don't think he expected Bhutan to be that strong.
But do you think this is a risky ploy to play, relatively a reserve side against Bhutan? Because even if you still win, at some point goal difference might come into play, and if Maldives or score many more goals against Bhutan, it could play against Afghanistan.
Yes, but you also have to look at it from the coach's point of view. Here he had a chance to rest his players, and perhaps because as the tournament is not very forgiving in terms of rest time. So, and Afghanistan just only have 1 day's rest after the game. So, I think he made a good decision, and he took a risk definitely, but that also paid off. Afghanistan won 3-0 at the end. So, I think giving a rest to players such as Sajdar Ahmedi and Bilal Arzu not playing is actually going to help them as they go forward. They have a game against Sri Lanka today, and if they go for a similar tactic, win easily, then they can be quite prepared for the game against Maldives as well.
So, Firash, speaking of Sri Lanka, it's very tough to really say anything positive about a team which has lost 10-0 in their opening game. They lost 10-0 against Maldives, and but do you think what would you make of their performance overall?
As we know that scoring 10 goals in a SAFF championship match is not a very small thing, it's a very big thing. And I figured out one very good point from Sri Lanka, because they played their game plan until the end of the match, although Maldives scored a lot of goals. And I think the turning point might be the red card shown to the keeper, and after that major part of the game was completed by 10 players, which make the players very tired on the field.
Yes, but a lot of people think that if you go down to 10 men, you need to change the way you play. Sri Lanka were playing in a certain way with 11 men, even after getting the keeper sent off. They continued playing in the same manner. Do you think there was a bit of lack of common sense there?
Maybe the coach might think that if they change to a defensive game, the Maldives, the whole team might come on attack and to pressurize more on Sri Lankan side. So on that way, he might have been using the normal game plan.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. I think that credit to Sri Lanka for sticking to their plan throughout the game. Shahrukh, you spoke about Bilal, coming down very late for the SAFF Championships. Do you think he'll be fit enough to play today?
Yes, well, it's not a case of Bilal being unfit. It was actually because he had a match in Norway with his club Asker. So he asked permission, I think, from the Afghanistan squad, and they allowed him because they knew they were going to win against Bhutan. And since he's back and he was playing in the game as well, I don't think there should be any fitness issues. But there will be a point to prove because he's not played with the team in the last game as well during the international friendly with Pakistan. So it'll be interesting to see how how they turn out this time.
And this will also be Afghanistan's second game at the Hal Chowk ground. And we saw that, in the game against Bhutan, they were having a bit of trouble passing the ball around. The ball was stopping on the pitch a few times. Do you think they'll be able to overcome that, that handicap a bit this time?
Yes, it's a questionable decision by the authorities as well, playing Afghanistan twice on the Hal Chowk Stadium and same for Bangladesh. And considering how the field is over there, I think Afghanistan will struggle. And they did struggle in the last game as well. They've been practicing in artificial grass in Kabul. So it's definitely a big challenge for them to adapt to natural surfaces, and considering that it's already raining over there, it'll be more difficult for them.
Firash, in Sri Lanka losing 10-0 to Maldives, many people say Afghanistan are even stronger than Maldives. So, will that be very demoralizing for Sri Lanka going into this game? How do you think they will approach this game?
I think the squad in Sri Lanka is a very young and very inexperienced, I would say, but there are some experienced players. So they might be using those players for exposure for this level football. So they might be they will be taking seriously the match, but I don't think they will be playing for a win, but they might be working for a draw or at least or minimize the number of goals.
Yes, but you mentioned about the young and inexperienced players in the Sri Lankan team. Perhaps that was a big reason why they lost 10-0 against Maldives?
That might be a reason, but and with that the red card and also maybe the striking force of Maldives was much better than Sri Lankan defense. That is, and also the major difference I showed is Ashfaq. His individual effort was.
Okay. But you mentioned the red card. We had Mohamed being sent off by Rafi Pratap Singh early in the first half, and then he was replaced by Parana Vitana. How do you think Parana Vitana coped with the rest of the game? How was his performance? I mean, he might have let in a number of goals, but that was more down to Ashfaq's quality. But do you think he could have made a few saves?
Comparing to the first goalkeeper, he was around 20 minutes on the field. So the second goalkeeper also made some of the saves, but I don't think he can perform as better as the first goalkeeper.
Shahrukh, Afghanistan have been criticized lightly in some quarters because they did manage to score more goals against Bhutan. Perhaps they'll feel a bit more pressure this time around, and maybe go all out on the attack to prove a point that we can score as many as we want against Sri Lanka.
Yes, but you have to look back at the last game as well. They fielded the reserve side almost. So yes, Bilal Azou will back, Sanzar Ahmadi should start, and with those two up front, I think Afghanistan will create a lot of more chances and will definitely finish them off as well. You've got a couple of midfielders coming back as well, so it should be an interesting game in terms of how many goals Afghanistan scored today.
And if you had to pick one player, from the Afghan side, we know Bilal, of course, but you say apart from Bilal, one player to watch out today for the Afghan side.
I think it would be his strike partner Sanzar Ahmadi. He's been clinical for Afghanistan so far, and he netted against Pakistan as well. So it'll be interesting to see how much goals he scores today.
Firash, one thing we noticed about Sri Lanka's game plan against Maldives was the high line of defense they were employing. Even when they played with 11 men, they were pushing up far too much, allowing Maldives to get behind the defense and create one-on-one goal-scoring chances. Even when they went down to 10 men, they carried on with the same way. Do you think it's advisable to play that way against stronger sides?
First of all, I would say Sri Lanka used as offside traps. In the first half. I think around 8 offsides were there for Maldives. So that was one of the reasons that Maldives couldn't score more goals in the first half. But as the defense line, I would say they could only hold until the second half. After that, they couldn't hold because of the pressure coming. They couldn't hold the ball in the front.
And do you think that playing with 10 men for so long, chasing the ball for most of the game, they'll be a lot more tired than Afghanistan going into the game.
Yeah,
of course, Afghanistan played different players against Bhutan as well. So do you think that will be a factor?
Yeah, it will be affected because as the tournament is scheduled as 1 day free for each team.
Yes.
The players will be definitely very tired. So we will see the difference in today's game.
And if you had to pick one player from the Sri Lankan side, who would be key for them today to get some sort of a respectable result?
I think captain will be leading the team. He can only be the remarkable figure in the team.
Yes, that's right. And Shahrukh, we talk about predictions all the time. No one could have predicted Maldives to beat Sri Lanka 10-0. What do you expect out of this game? What do you expect to see?
Last time my prediction of Afghanistan was going into double digits, and that did happen, but it was another game. But I think this time, with the return of the majority of the squad, the scoreline will definitely be in Afghanistan's favor, and it should be above 5-0 for this one.
And what about you, Firash? Sri Lanka were unlucky to probably lose 10-0. If they keep 11 men on the pitch this time around, what do you see the scoreline being?
Some of the factors like the pitch condition are affecting the players to perform very well. So with these factors, I think Afghanistan will definitely win, but I think Sri Lanka will let them score around 3 to 4 goals.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Everyone going for an Afghanistan win today against Sri Lanka. But hopefully, if Sri Lanka keep 11 men on the pitch, they'll get a far more respectable result than they got against Maldives. So hoping for a good game. We'll be right back with live action.